there, thank you so much for watching my YouTube channel. Super stoked that we're together today. We're continuing our series on being friends with God. And we looked at Exodus 33:11, where it says, God spoke with Moses face to face as a man speaks with a friend. And we've been looking the last couple of weeks at some of the steps in this journey. What does it look like to be friends with God and for God to be friends with us? And last week we looked at attention, giving God attention, paying attention to God. And then the preceding week, we looked at some of the dark stuff that we might have in our hearts we need to kind of bring into the light for God to deal with. But today I want to look at something I think is very interesting, and it's the time factor. Time. And I say this because, and I alluded to it last week, but when you look at Moses' life and this journey of being friends with God, he spent 40 years as in Pharaoh's household. Then he spent another 40 years herding sheep in the wilderness. And finally, the last 40 years of his life were leading the Israelites out of slavery and through the wilderness. And ultimately, he was buried by God, which is really cool because I guess God buries his friends. I don't know. That's a different series. We could talk about that later. However, I want you to appreciate this whole sense of time. And I think it's very important for us that friendship takes time. It just flat out does. And there is much to be said for time with people, time with God, and the consistency of time. And I think sometimes, I remember when I was a lot younger, I always loved this verse, Exodus 33:11, man speaking with God as a friend, all that whole, I thought it was just fascinating, and I loved it. And I always wanted to be, oh God, I want to be your friend. But I always wanted like kind of the cup of soup where you have the boiling water, you pour it in, put the lid on, and 2 minutes later, boom, you got your cup of soup. Fantastic. That's kind of what I wanted, or microwave popcorn, friendship with God. I want this instantaneous. But I think if you can appreciate that time is an essential ingredient for friendship, but also for a deep friendship. The depth you have in a friendship often is a reflection of the time that you give it, that you put into it, and that you allow yourself. And I think time, and I propose that to you with God, time with God is an essential ingredient for us to develop that friendship, to deepen our walk, to have more intimacy and connection with God. Time. And you're like, well, I just don't have a lot of time. I get that. I can appreciate having a lot of activities, having a lot of responsibilities, having a lot of deadlines, demands, all kinds of stuff. And I know for each one of us, we have unique things going on in our lives. But I still contend that time is very important. We can make money, family, but we cannot make time. We have a limited, discrete amount of time. You can go out and get another job, hopefully, Sometimes it's a little struggle. I get it. Some of the unemployment and economic stuff that's going on, it's hard, for sure. But the thing that I would challenge you with is time is a gift that you give to a relationship, and it is essential for the relationship to grow deeper and more intimate and more connected. It is essential to give time. And so I would strongly encourage you that you maybe carve out some time, whether it's 10 or 15 minutes every day in the mornings. Maybe it's your lunch break. Maybe it's before you go to bed at night. Hopefully you're not too tired and you fall asleep. But give time. Give God consistent time. Because without time, you won't have that depth of friendship, depth of connection, depth of intimacy. And if we want to be God's friend, and we want God to be our friend, then time is essential. Time is necessary, and we can't leave out that ingredient for friendship. So I encourage you to think about and maybe ask Holy Spirit, help me to find and carve out and get some consistency with time. Because when we're consistent, and I say this, consistent, whether it's in the morning time or we have a noon or whatever, but we're consistent on a daily basis, you will watch and see your relationship, your friendship with God grow and develop and deepen. And I've seen that over the course of my life. I'm in my 50s now. And I would say I started cultivating a friendship with God back in my teen years. And have I always been steady and faithful and consistent? Of course not. But I will say that within the last probably 15 years, on a daily basis, I've been the most consistent I've ever been. And my friendship with God is better, deeper, richer, more intimate than it's ever been as well. And I'm not saying it's because of what I did. I'm just saying I give time and give myself in connection with God time. So I encourage you, time with God is absolutely one of the best investments you can make for pursuing and developing a friendship with God. So thank you so much for watching. We're going to finish up this series next week with a big bang. You'll really like it. And I want to encourage you, make sure you leave some comments, thumbs up, thumbs down. Thank you for subscribing. And remember to hit the little bell right there so that you can get notifications. And I know we want our joke here at the end because, these jokes are really pretty epic. Okay, I was fired from the keyboard factory because I was not putting in enough shifts. Keyboard shift. Get it? I know. Next week will be a lot better. Thanks again.